Thank you very much. Okay, just a quick bio of the my last two guests. Dr. Ikechukwu Obiaya is the Dean of the School of Media and Communications, Pan-African University. Pan-Atlantic University. A round of applause for him. And of course, Osera Lakube is a partner in PricewaterhouseCoopers Nigeria, leading info and technology company. You know that already. So my next guest is an international guest. His name, I would say when we get to the end, but he's a partner at Sheridan's law firm in England and advises on a range of matters across the media and entertainment industries, representing a broad range of clients, including advertising and talent agencies, established artists, fashion brands, leading production houses, new and upcoming talent, producers, songwriters, and sports personalities, and so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome my next guest, Stephen Kepner. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, that song that you just listened to is probably one of the biggest hits in Nigeria right now.
Sounds good.
One more time for the press band, please. Thank you. Okay. We understand that your firm, Sheridan's, is one of the biggest and most influential, in the entertainment industry in England. Can you give a brief description of your business, how it's structured, and the factors responsible for this success in entertainment law?
Okay. Sheridan started as predominantly a music firm about 50 years ago. We still represent a lot of the people we were representing back then, which included Paul McCartney and the Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd and people like that. And over the years... Hello? Oh. Yeah, so we were predominantly a music firm, but that developed over the years into a much broader entertainment firm where we now do film and television, fashion, computer games, trademarks, you name it, film, television, yeah, I said that. We do it, and we've got about 100 people in our firm.
Lawyers?
About 80 lawyers, I think, yeah. So it's a big firm. And we work very proactively on behalf of our clients. We don't really see ourselves just as red letter lawyers. My background, for example, I came from an entertainment background and I worked in the music industry and I worked in theatre before I became a lawyer. So I developed a music practice first and foremost by immersing myself in the music industry, by going to lots and lots of shows, meeting all of the relevant people in the record industry, and developed my practice like that. I've since branched out into sport, where I represent personalities like Pele, and also into film and television, and into fashion, acting for brands as well. So, real cross-section.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
One of the things that we are hoping to see happen in Nigeria is to have like an equivalent of the Sheridans in Nigeria here, have a law firm that has 80 or so lawyers representing, people in the creative industry from across board. Now, how do we set up, or how do we get into that kind of frame here? What would you advise lawyers to do to put that together?
Well, I think people want more value from their lawyers now, in whatever sector you're in, but particularly in the entertainment industry. And in London, for example, and in particular in music, lawyers are the go-to people for people who starting out in the music industry. If musicians try and approach record companies will often say, "Who's your lawyer?" You know, lawyers have become indispensable as deal makers, you know, and creating commercial opportunities. So whether that be for new talent, or whether it be for an established computer game, or using film, exploiting film and television productions. You know, we do more than just be lawyers, and I think that's what. So when people go, well, why do I need a lawyer? You know, when I'm just an artist, or I'm that. We need to be able to sell ourselves as people who can create value for them and create opportunities for them.
If we want to deepen the involvement of lawyers in entertainment in Nigeria, is there like a single most important piece of legislation in England, for instance, that enables lawyers to work within the entertainment industry? Was that enabling law that we probably need to do here if we I don't know how familiar you are with.
Well, I'm not very up on Nigerian what laws you have in force. I mean, we obviously have a Copyright Act, but other than that, a lot of entertainment law has developed as practice and sort of established procedure over the years, you know, much like the common law has, you know. And so it's a way of doing business and a set of established rules that there are between lawyers and creative bodies, you know, that is established over time.
You have said, you know, they talked about the quality of representations that you have. There is indeed an explosion in terms of talent and the growth in Nigeria. This year, for the first time, we had a movie in the box office that made up to 450 million naira.
Wow.
Now, it might not be a lot in terms of dollars and pounds, but in Nigeria, that was a major breakthrough. And it has actually changed the narrative in Nigeria. So there is the need for representation of these people by lawyers and all of that. We will take a short break, and when we come back, I will go to the audience to ask a few questions, or if they have a few questions for you, and we'll continue with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Stephen Kembler, everybody. Okay, so we are back. There has been a slight adjustment. We will take all the panelists, take all their views before we go into the audience to ask the questions or have them ask us questions. So I'm going to invite some other panelists now to join Mr. Kempler on stage with me. So first on my list is an astute legal practitioner, my friend and brother, with over 20 years experience in intellectual property law, dispute resolution, broadcasting, media, and entertainment law. He represents a broad spectrum of reputable clients in the media and entertainment space and has been involved in various landmark transactions and disputes in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mena Ajakbovi. My next guest is synonymous with energy and passion, with a keen interest in entertainment and legal industries. Foza has been able to create a niche for herself in both industries. She obtained her LLB and a diploma in security studies from the prestigious Babcock University in Ogun State. She was called to the Nigerian bar in 2014. 14. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Oyi Consola Fawen. Okay, my next guest is a professor of law, a leading academic and practitioner in the field of intellectual property. Is a professor of law at the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies. Prior to taking the IP chair at the institute, he served as the Director General of the Nigerian Copyright Commission and was the pioneer lecturer and researcher in IP at the Faculty of Law, Lagos State University. He is a past fellow of Max Planck Institute for IP, Munich, and Center for IP and IT, University of Edinburgh. He has published several books in the field. He has served in various roles at the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Professor Adebambo Adewopo. My next guest is from Opobo Town in Rivers State and was raised in Lagos. After graduating from Middlesex University in London with a bachelor's degree in law in 2007, she obtained a master's of law degree in entertainment law from the University of Westminster in 2009. She continued to work in the United Kingdom for a few years before returning to Nigeria. She was called to the Nigerian bar in 2012. She has qualitative and formative experience in diverse aspects of legal practice, both in Nigeria and England, having worked as a paralegal with the Waltham Forest Council in London, UK, as a legal officer at Seplat, Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Diwari Pidisai. Okay, welcome. Please, ladies and gentlemen, one more time for my panelists, a round of applause. Okay, so they say ladies first. And Diwari, I hope you've caught your breath. I'll ask you, what is the most significant challenge faced by young lawyers who are seeking to make a living from entertainment law practice? What are the prospects and opportunities? I know it's very wide, but I trust you. You wear both caps. So over to you.
Thank you. Okay, it is a very broad, that's a very broad subject you just asked me. But I'll say this. Apart from being a lawyer, I'm also a recording artist. And when I got my master's in entertainment law, I was looking for a way to merge the two, marry the two fields, my passion for music and then my profession as a lawyer. And moving back to Nigeria, I found that, as we were discussing before, there isn't necessarily a framework that we can work with. So we tend to just find ourselves trying to create work for ourselves. The challenge I find as a lawyer is, because my personality most of the time is introverted, you need to learn how to go out of your comfort zone and go to where the entertainers are so that they know what you have to offer them. You need to go to where they work, go to the clubs that they visit, the events that they attend, and show them what you're made of. Just like Stephen was saying, we act as agents and we need to go out and get the job, because the work is there, but the jobs are not going to come to you when you wait in your office, because entertainers are not going to come to your office, but they need to understand why they need you as a lawyer. And I'll say this because while I was a recording artist, I was offered a recording contract at the time. That was a few years ago. And I did not put my lawyer hat on at all. I was blinded by my passion to become a musician and do the things that I needed to do, that I overlooked many, many clauses that were to my detriment. And I signed it, and I was trapped in a contract that wasn't favorable to me. So these are the sort of issues that you need to address when you meet these entertainment players. I'm talking for maybe musicians and upcoming actors and things like that. You might want, or I might want, as a young lawyer, to end up like maybe Mr. Mena Japovi and have a big firm and everything. But it doesn't start like that. You have to put in the work and pay your dues, so to speak. It's a job of passion. If you're looking to make ₦1 billion right away, it's not going to happen per se. It might happen for you, Sha, but on the normal scheme of things, it's not going to happen. So you have to just put in the work. And there are lots of prospects. Entertainment is growing. I wouldn't say it's where it's supposed to be yet, but it's growing, and I think now is the best time to key into the developing industry, so that at the end, or so you can be part of a pioneer establishment. So, yeah.
Are you representing anybody now in the music industry as a lawyer?
I'm not representing any major acts. I have loads of indie acts, loads of upcoming acts. I find that most of the major acts are like where I was negotiating with the manager of a major act, or an act that people know. I won't say her name because I don't represent her. And the manager was very funny about fees and that sort of thing. So I find out maybe if I had approached the artist herself, I'd be able to convince for me to represent her. But that didn't work out because I was talking to the manager. But at the moment I'm working with loads of upcoming artists. That's basically what I do at the moment.
Because we're talking about problems that young lawyers face, trying to get into this business. If you are not passionate, or if you are not a performer yourself, would you go back to try and convince this person for you to represent them?
If
you were not a musician yourself, okay, or a performer yourself,
yeah,
with the kind of roadblock that you've had, yeah, would you go back to try? If you were just a regular lawyer, would you go back to try to see how?
I might not understand 100% what the ramifications are, because being on that side of the whole spectrum, I find that there are many things that I could relate with fellow artists. I know that artists are not normal people. They are very passionate. They're very, very passionate. They're not like, there are people, you have to get them to trust you. You have to get them to, and you also have to believe in them, and they also have to know that you believe in them. So there are all those little aspects that if I hadn't been an artist per se, I might not understand that I need to do. So that's why I'm here to explain that you guys, when you meet your clients, when you meet your potential clients, that you need them to know that you believe in them, and you need to present yourself in a way that they can trust you.
Okay, when we go into the question and answer session, I'm sure there will be one or two things that I need to ask you. But Mena, let me ask you this. Because of the, of the explosion within the creative industries, people are encouraging, organizations like WIPO and different bodies are encouraging ADR, for instance, in resolving disputes. But somehow our lawyers prefer, the traditional methods of settlement, going to court. What would you say is the reason for this, or what would you advise?
Okay, that's a very practical question, and I'll also give a practical response. Now, in the creative industry, you may be surprised that most of the contracts that are entered, most of the dealings are done informally. So you engage an actor, you engage a music person, you engage a comedian, or you hire equipment informally. You're producing a movie, you know somebody that has the equipment, you call the person on the phone, and you just say, okay, come and do this for me, and you agree on the figure, and you pay. That's all. It's not documented. And because of the margin involved, the amount involved is also really below radar. It's not big sums. Now, when there's dispute in those kind of situation, it is resolved informally. It is resolved without going to court or mediation. So there's a lot to say for ADR. But that notwithstanding, if you want to invoke ADR as a means of resolution of those disputes of such amount, you start inviting an arbitrator. The cost element is very important. You call an arbitrator, you invoke mediation, the whole process. Now that is not what you want to call a makeup artist to come and get involved in. That's not what you want to call the normal down the road artist to come and get involved in. So because of that, there's a disincentive. The expense that is involved in arbitration is just so high. So people do not like to go there. Now, secondly, there are certain situations that you find yourself. That is not the time to go to arbitration. You quickly want to get an order of injunction. I'm producing a movie and I know somebody has stolen my copyright or my rights in that thing. If I go to an arbitrator or mediation, you are not going to get an injunction from it. So you go to a regular court and you know you get injunction. So people tend to lean towards the formal method of dispute resolution. And we're talking about centuries of mindset. The mindset is that once there's trouble, the average person goes to court. Now, I did a record agreement some years ago, a recording group. They came to my office and I did the agreement for them. The funder provided the money and I put there an arbitration clause, of course. Now they ran into trouble. And this guy, the first thing he said to me was that he was going to zone 2. So he was going to zone 2 to call police and to get the guy detained and to force him before. And I said to him, but we have an arbitration clause in this agreement. Let's go that route. And he said, for where? No. I want to go to zone 2. By the time they pick him up, by the time he spends 2-3 days, he will bring the money. So to the ordinary average person, arbitration is not the first option. Another point is that this arbitration that we're talking about, how many people know about arbitration? For dispute resolution, how many people really know about arbitration? Go to Kano. It's a very big, thriving movie industry there. How many of them know about arbitration? They know that once there's a dispute, the next place to go to is the court. Go to Maiduguri, the lawyer practicing in Maiduguri, the lawyer practicing in Dutse, what do they know about arbitration? So once there's a dispute, we have a mindset that have been there for years. And as far as dispute resolution is concerned, the next place to call is litigation. So that's some of the reason why people prefer litigation as a means of settling their dispute. Now, all arbitrators here must take this point, that one of the reasons, because I did a study on this in 2014, and one of the results of this study was that the cost and the sophistication of arbitration and mediation, it is way beyond what the ordinary creative mind would want to resort to. So they resolve their problem their own way, or they go to court. So for now, as at today, as far as the report and the result and the research is concerned, arbitration is still more, litigation is still more appealing than the ADR system.
Is it more effective?
Well, now let me give you an example.
Okay, sorry, before you do that, when you say they resolve the things their way, because I've been a part of some of these resolutions of rights that are crossing. So if, for instance, two right owners call a lawyer to mediate in a dispute, and they both agree to that mediation.
Yes.
Can they take their resolution to the court of
we all know that.
arbitration in Lagos
Yes.
State, for instance, and adopt that without having to have a formal mediation session?
That is a snag about ADR. Now, even after you've reached a decision in ADR system, it does not prevent the parties from still going to court, whether right or wrong. They'll still go to court. So because of that, it's a disincentive.
But I thought
They can also agree to end it there, but you cannot fetter the right of anyone to go to court, even though they've agreed to go to arbitration.
even after the resolve at arbitration.
Yes, you may lose, but you will still go to court.
Okay. All right, Prof. We'll come back to you because this is something that we would like to pursue a bit more. Prof, you have heard, or I'm sure you're aware of how much development we have had in terms of innovation in property rights. You know, what are the challenges and opportunities posed to entertainment law? You know, with the innovation and the use of material and content and property rights, as it is in the midst of all this innovation and explosion.
By far, the most singular and the most remarkable challenge, as well as opportunity for entertainment industry, is digital technology. I mean, it's very clear.
Sorry, you said digital what?
Digital technology. Digital technology has a most remarkable transformative impact on the production and the exploitation of creative works in at least, let me say, 4 respects. First, the identification of the subject matter. Digital technology has completely changed the existing paradigm or classification of what you call today as entertainment product, either musical work, sound recording, literary work, artistic work, cinematograph, film, broadcast, or even live performance. And that's a whole lot of issue in itself. Secondly, digital technology has changed the balance and the framework of rights in the traditional copyright system. Of course, you know the core of the copyright system is in the exclusive rights system, which we have to understand. We have those rights, for instance, in Section 6 of the Copyright Act. Digital technology has radically transformed those rights in their tenor and in their operation. So the creative artist now will have to examine which right is infringed, which right exists through the proliferation of digital platforms that we have today. Thirdly, digital technology has changed the administration of those rights, the existing administration platform, through what is now known as digital rights management, or what they call the technological protection measures that we have in the new reformed copyright legislation across the world. Fourthly, digital technology has changed the enforcement of those rights. The way and manner those rights are enforced has been changed completely. Now we have, in those days we talk about piracy, but now you talk about digital piracy and the legal response to the phenomenon of digital piracy. So there is no doubt about that digital technology has the most transformative impact on entertainment products.
So how do lawyers respond? How does the legal
the foundation is always the knowledge. You have to know the nuances of entertainment law. Entertainment law as the body of laws, as the body of customs, as the body of institutions and players. You have to understand the foundation of entertainment practice or entertainment industry before you can even address the legal solutions to those problems that we have. That's one. Two, we have the law reform. Law reform, policy reform is also an answer. Now, the Nigerian copyright system is not technologically compliant. So we have a big challenge in that area. 3, you have structures, and I think in the previous sessions you've mentioned about structure. We have structures, industry structures, regulatory structures, legal structures. They're also important for the development and the evolution of a viable entertainment industry. Let me just stop there.
I do know that there are law reforms, or there are proposals for reforms and all that. As they are, even though they are drafts, are they compliant with innovations?
Absolutely good question. The most significant development in the current law reform in the copyright sphere in Nigeria is the fact that we have a new copyright proposal for the first time in the history of copyright legislation in Nigeria that have responded to the digital technology. And that itself is remarkable. Right? That's something that the creative industry should embrace. Now, looking into the structure of the rights, into the nitty-gritty of that law is a different thing. But holistically, it's a proposal, it's a law reform initiative that is supposed to transit the industry to the next generation of entertainers and producers.
I'm sure during the question and answer time we'll come back to this, because there are those who will argue that it hasn't always been a question of the body of the law or the laws as it is, but lawyers not testing the very limits of these laws. But we'll come back to that. Ms. Fayomi, I know that you are the general manager and legal counsel, for in-house counsel as it were, for a 360 entertainment company. Does any company need a resident legal entertainment lawyer as it were? And your function or your role, will it in any way help to make artists appreciate the need for lawyers?
All right, good evening everybody. I'm in-house counsel to a couple of entertainment companies, from film to...
Oh, so please, a round of applause.
A round of applause, come on. Thank you. All right, to film, music, tech companies specialized in the content production companies also. As an in-house counsel, I am not just... In fact, I've stopped calling myself a lawyer. I call myself the business. So the thing is, I come into your business, you have to see the difference. Because from being...
If you want to clap.
Yeah.
If she comes into your business, you must see the difference.
It's as simple as that. So for us in my law firm, we are not just lawyers, we're managers, we're digital marketers, we're content producers, we're content exploitation manager. Everything we call ourselves a one-stop shop. So because we have knowledge, and the beauty of it is that every lawyer that works in my law firm has field experience, from being a music manager to being a film producer or an assistant on the field. So when we're having discussions, we understand it's a relationship with our clients. Like Mr. Sheridan, Stephen was saying, I can pick an upcoming act right now, plug him into a record label, and in the next 3 years can be the biggest act. That's how much my network is right now. And that's because we understood quickly that as lawyers, anybody can go on the internet and download the recording contract. Last year, I reviewed the same document from different lawyers from the internet for 6 different people. The same document. So I'm like, everybody's going online and downloading contracts and sending it, and everybody's negotiating. But the difference, when we finish negotiating, they see that there's a difference, because we understand the right system. Like my prof was telling me, there's the right system that we understand, and we've been able to manage it. And so an in-house counsel is everything to you. Structures your business. One of the companies that we work for, we started working with them this year, a record label company, and within 3 months, they've expanded into an entertainment group, into distribution, into publishing, and next year going into film. You know, and for my film, one of the film companies I'm working on right now, we're trying to raise, which is last year we started with a film company, and we're trying to do a cross-border relationship. And I went for Afrif, and I made a lot of friends with the South African, KZN, Nazatulu people, and we're discussing, and we're trying to do a cross-border film. And you know, I started engaging with other lawyers, and I saw the difference in the approach of things. It wasn't just law. So I knew that if I'm talking to my client, for my client not to go elsewhere, they need to see that I know. So I have partners in the UK because my clients are beginning to, it's now on a global scale. Imagine I'm representing Wizkid and I don't have a liaison lawyer in the UK to take care of his interest, or a liaison lawyer in the US to take care of his interest. That's what you do as an in-house counsel. You're the R&D for the artist, or the R&D for the creator. So you create wealth. When you, for whatever creator you work with, you create wealth for them. And for the younger lawyers out there, which I'm going to talk to, because
she was called in 2014. 14. For the younger lawyers out there.
So, oh well, technically, I tell people that the bigger law firms can't take up the work that we're doing, because for them it's not about business. But for the younger ones that we understand and we're trying to create a niche for ourselves, it's important that we invest. So a lot of the things you are doing is you are investing in the career of this artist. So the contract that you normally charge, I mean, no music artist can meet me right now and say, give me a contract for free. I've passed that stage. I can do that for a few person, but what I'm saying is the services you provide are the investments in that artist. So you can watch and nurture an artist from being an upcoming artist to being a top 10 artist. And when you go to the club, you're dancing to your artist. I mean, top 10 of the list, I'm dancing to my client's song because I've invested in them. So as an in-house counsel, long and short, you are the R&D of the artist or the creator. You teach them how to make money, you teach them how to manage money, you teach them how to secure their content, and you flourish.
Thank you very much. And yet they tell you that lawyers can't advertise. Okay, Stephen. I wanted you to stay back here to listen to some of the things that they've been saying. Do you think we're on the right track to getting ourselves immersed in deepening our entertainment law a little bit in Nigeria? Especially from the last speaker.
Absolutely. I mean, I want to hire this woman right now. I do. I think, I think the most important thing is passion. And, and I hear that all across the panel. Everyone's very passionate about what they're doing. And, and it's also about, to touch on something you said, it's about being able to reach out for help when, when you've got to your boundaries. That happens to me. If I've got an artist who goes and lives in Los Angeles, I'm not stupid. If somebody said earlier, you never assume that your client is going to wait for you to follow them. If they're going to go to Los Angeles, if I don't do something about it, they're going to be with a Los Angeles lawyer in 5 minutes. So, I'm going to reach out to a Los Angeles lawyer myself and make sure I am in partnership with someone over there when they go over there. So, it's about using connections and adding value to the artists wherever they go in the world.
Thank you very much. We will go on a short commercial break, and when we come back, we will get new people here and take your questions when we finish with that session. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, guys. Thank you.